Hello students, this is the part 2 video of the first lesson in history, the outbreak of World War I and its aftermath. In the previous session, we studied about the causes for the First World War. Before that, we saw a brief introduction of the lesson. We studied about what is meant by capitalism, what is meant by monopoly capitalism, what is meant by imperialism, and what led to the clashes between the countries, that is the great powers, and the rise of Japan. And then we studied about the causes of the First World War. There are many causes that led to the First World War. The first cause is that the split of the great powers in the European countries. The great powers in the European countries split into two. The first group were the Central Powers, which includes Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. And these three countries formed the Triple Alliance. And the other group were France, Russia, and Britain. These three countries formed the Triple Entente. The next reason for the cause of the First World War was the violent form of nationalism. It led to the formation of three militant forms. They are England's Jingoism, France's Chauvinism, and Germany's Kultur. The third reason is the aggressive attitude of the German Emperor Kaiser William II. He proclaimed that Germany would be the leader of the world. And we studied about the hostility, that is the conflict between the France towards Germany, and we also studied about the Balkan Wars. And the final immediate cause of the First World War was the assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand, who was the next emperor of Austria-Hungary, was assassinated by Princip, a Bosnian Serb. So this was the immediate cause of the First World War. And then we started with the course of the war. In this course of the war, we studied about the two warring camps. That is, after the Balkan War and the start of the First World War, Italy, which was with the Central Powers, came out and it joined with the Triple Entente, that is the Allies countries. Turkey and Bulgaria joined the Central Powers, and the Allies countries included 9 states, which are Russia, France, Britain, Italy, United States, Belgium, Serbia, Romania, and Greece. And then we studied about the war in Western Front or the French Front, and war in Eastern Front or the Russian Front. And we also studied about the Battle of Tannenberg and Battle of Marne. And we also studied about the war in the Far East, that is in China and Japan, and the fate of colonies of Germany in Africa. That is what happened to the colonized countries of colonized states of Germany in Africa, and how they surrendered themselves to the Allies. And now we will continue with the remaining events that took place during the First World War. That is the continuation of the courses of the war. The next event that took place during the course of the First World War is Italy falls to Austrian onslaught. We know that Italy had joined with the Allies countries in May 1916, and later the Italians were continuously fighting with the Austrians, and they were also able to resist the Austrian attack. But when the Germans came to help Austria, Italy was not able to resist the opposite powers, that is Austria and Germans. So therefore, the Italians were totally collapsed. Central Powers victories. The Central Powers almost captured most of the Allied countries. Okay, it captured Belgium, part of France in the northeast, Poland, Serbia, and also Romania. And the next target of the Central Powers was to capture the Western Front and the sea. It wanted to rule the sea, but the sea route was controlled by the Allied countries. Okay, so therefore, the food supply and the other material supply was totally cut off by the Allied countries to the Germans. In Germany and Austria, women and children, especially women and children, suffered from hunger, and there was a downfall in the economic condition of the countries in Germany and Austria. So therefore, Germany wants to teach a lesson to the England. So it attacked England by air. It dropped air bombs, uh, and also it dropped poisonous gas bombs. And many of the industries, important industries and factories were collapsed in England. So as a counterattack, England also dropped poisonous bombs in Germany and Austria. Naval battles and America's entry into the war. Till now, America did not directly enter into the war. It just provided moral support to Britain and France. But now, America entered directly into the war. It got involved itself directly into the war. And now we will see what was the reason for America's entry into the war. In 1916, a naval battle, which is also called as the Battle of Jutland, took place in the North Sea. The British won the battle. Even though when British won the battle, Germany did not give up. Okay, it started their submarines, and these submarines were roaming about in the sea, and they were interfering with the shipping of the Allies. One of the submarine called as Embaden, it reached up to Madras and it bombarded, that is it blasted some of the ships in the port of Madras. Okay, and one of the other submarine of Germans, it torpedoed, that is it destroyed a ship called as Lusitania, which is an American ship. So after this incident, what happened is that there was a lot of confusion in United States of America. So after the bombardment or the torpedo of this Lusitania ship, there were a lot of confusion in the United States of America, and finally President Wilson declared war against the Germans in April 1917. Is it clear? Okay. So this was the reason for America's entry into the war. So finally America entered into the war with all its power and resources, and it totally destroyed the Central Powers. Okay, this is how the victory of the Allied countries were possible, because of the entry of the United States of America. The Armistice and the Treaty of Versailles. So the armistice means it is also a treaty. Germany finally it surrendered in November 1918. So according to the Treaty of Armistice, the Germans surrendered on 11 November 1918, and the Germans were forced to accept harsh terms by political situation at home with the abdication of Kaiser William II, and the Germans were forced to accept the punishments or accept to the orders made by the Allied countries, and at the same time there was a resignation of Kaiser William II. Kaiser William II resigned from his power. After 2 months of this treaty of armistice, The peace conference took place in Paris in January 1919. Woodrow Wilson of USA, Lloyd George, who was the Prime Minister of England, and Clement Chau, the Prime Minister of France, are the important members who took part in that conference. The Germans were forced to accept to the terms and rules which were placed by the allied countries, and also they were threatened that a new war will be started against them. So therefore the Germans accepted to the terms and conditions of the allied countries. On 28th June 1919, the peace treaty was signed in the Hall of Mirrors at Versailles. Okay, so this treaty is the peace treaty. Okay, since it was signed in the Hall of Mirrors at Versailles, it is also called as the Treaty of Versailles. Provisions of the treaty. And now let us look at the rules and terms which were included in the treaty. The first one is that Germany was found guilty of starting the war. That is, Germany was the first country to initiate the war. So therefore, it has to pay for the losses. Okay, and not only Germany, all the central powers are directed to pay for the indemnity. That is the losses suffered. And second one is that the German army was to be limited to 1 lakh men. So the Germans were restricted from having huge army. They were allowed to have only up to 1 lakh soldiers. That is, they were allowed to have only a small navy. And also the navy has to be small. And the third one is the union of Austria and Germany was forbidden. We already know that the Germany and Austria had a mutual understanding among them, and they were in support of each other. So from now onwards they have to be separated, and Austria was separated from Germany, and it was declared as an independent country. And next, fourth point is all German colonies became mandated territories under the League of Nations. That is, all the colonies, all the places which were colonized by the Germans became the authorized territories under the League of Nations. Fifth one is that Germany was forced to revoke the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk with Russia and Bucharest with Bulgaria. We have already studied that the Germans and Russia made a Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, and Bucharest was the Treaty of Bucharest was made with Bulgaria. Okay, so the Germans have to get back those treaties. And sixth one is Alsace and Lorraine. So these two places, which are important places in France, were under the control of the Germans, and according to this treaty, the Germany has to return these places to France. Seventh one is that the former Russian territories in Finland, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania were to be independent. These places has to be freed. And eighth one is northern Schleswig was given to Denmark, and some small districts were given to Belgium. Ninth one is Poland was recreated. Poland was modernized and renewed. And the government brought about many changes in Poland. 10th one, the Rhineland was to be occupied by the Allies. Okay, so this Rhineland is the place where there are many resources like ore mines, like that. So the Allied occupied this place, and in Rhineland itself the eastern part was occupied by the German military. Okay, so this according to this treaty, the East Bank, which was a militarized zone, has to be demilitarized. That is, the German military force has to go away from that place. So these are the 10 terms and conditions which were in that Treaty of Peace. The Allied countries not only made an agreement with the Germans, but it also signed a treaty with the other great powers like Austria, Hungary, Bulgaria, and Turkey. In the treaty with Turkey, this treaty is also called as Treaty of Sevres. Okay, so according to this treaty was accepted by the Sultan, but it was resisted by his opponent Mustafa Kemal Pasha and his followers. Okay, the President Wilson laid down his 14 points which were to be followed by the Allies. So, as there are terms and conditions to be followed by the Germans, there are also some terms which have to be followed by the Allies. The most important one he highlighted was the need for general association of the nations. So, the nations, all the allied countries must be united for the purpose of affording mutual guarantees of political independence. So there must be a mutual help among these countries, and they must be independent and territorial integrity. They must be honest towards each other, and they must not interfere in others' internal affairs to great and small states like. So all the states, whether it may be a bigger one or a small state, everyone must be safeguarded and they must enjoy their own independence. So this was one of the important point which has to be followed by the allied countries. Fallout of the First World War. The First World War left a deep impact on the European society and polity. Okay, through conscription and through air raids. Conscription means the soldiers were enrolled into the army without their willingness or with their willingness. Okay, even if they are not willing, they have to be enrolled in the army. And also through air raids, the war had involved and affected far more of the population than in the past. So in this world war only, there were a huge damage into life and property. About 8 million people died in 4 years, while more than twice, that is more than 16 million people were injured, and many crippled for life. That is, many lost their legs and hands and became disabled persons. Millions more have succumbed to the worldwide influenza of 1918. At the same time, a pandemic disease called influenza was spreading among the people, and due to that disease also million people were dead. The outcome in all countries was imbalance between the sexes, a shortage of men. So due to the huge loss in life, there were a drastic imbalance between the sex. So the male population was reduced, and when compared to the female population. Is it clear? The soldiers came to be placed above civilians. The soldiers who returned from the war started to dominate the civilians. So after this First World War, there were many changes in the world history. Okay, so one of the important changes is that the rise and consolidation of the Soviet Union, that is Russia, the USSR, or the Union of Socialist and Soviet Republic. This country started to renew itself in various factors, and it made many reforms, changes, and it became one of the developed country. America entered the war as a debtor. So during the First World War, America entered into the war as a debtor. That is, it has many debts. Okay, but after this First World War, it became a money lender. It started to provide money for other countries. Another outstanding event of this period was the awakening of the colonies. So, the colonized countries started to fight for their freedom, and they also got their freedom. And Mustafa Kemal Pasha, he played an important role in renovating the Turkey. Okay, he implemented new ideas and he modernized the Turkish Empire. Impact on India. And now we will see what were the impact, that is, what were the effects of the First World War on India. Okay, yeah, the British recruited many soldiers from India to serve Europe, Africa, and West Asia. And the soldiers, after this First World War, they came back with new ideas. With these new ideas, they were able to make changes in the society. India also helped the British and they contributed about 230 pounds million of cash, and they also provided loan of about 125 pounds million, and India also sent war materials to the value of 250 million pounds. As it has sent made a huge amount to the Britain during the First World War. After this, India faced economic distress. Okay, and during this war also, India suffered a epidemic disease. There was a spread of the epidemic disease influenza. Due to this disease also many people died. The war condition led to the rise of the home rule movement in India. Well, we have already studied what is meant by home rule movement. Rule movement wants a self-government for India. During this World War I, the Congress was united. Initially, India gave all these helps, thinking that they believed that Britain would reward India for helping them, but it was only a disappointment to the Indians. There was no proper help again from the Britain towards the Indian. Thus, the war had multiple effects in India and also on the economic and political conditions of the country. Russian Revolution and its impact. So the biggest outcome of the World War I is the Russian Revolution, and it was an unique event in the world history. Okay, uh, Russia faced many socio-economical and also political changes after this First World War, and it also brought about huge losses and sufferings. Okay, this World War brought about huge losses and sufferings in Russia. There were really two revolutions in the year 1917 in Russia. One took place in March 1917 and another one in November 1917. After the resignation of Tsar, that is the Emperor Tsar, the bourgeois government was followed and it wanted to continue the war. But the people were not liking it. They were against it. They do not want to continue the war. So therefore, the people were not satisfied with this bourgeois government. So there was a second great uprising under the guidance of their leader Lenin, who seized power and established a communist government in Russia. What is meant by communist? So everything is equal for everyone. That is the concept of communism. Okay. And now we will see the causes for the Russian Revolution. That is, what were the reasons that led to the Russian Revolution? First cause is the social cause. Okay, in Russia, Peter the Great and Catherine II, who were ruling the country, they attempted to modernize the country. That is, they wanted to westernize without changing the social condition. They just taught about only the people who live in upper class, and they did not think about the people who were in the poverty line. Okay, so due to their effort, the Russian peasants who were serfs, they suffered a lot. Serfs means they were as slaves to the landlords. So the Russian peasants were serfs tied to the land owned by the wealthy Russian. They suffered a lot, And after Russia's defeat in Crimean War, some reforms were introduced. So next Emperor of Russia was Tsar Alexander II. In 1861, Tsar Alexander II abolished the serfdom and emancipated the serfs. Serfdom means that is he freed the peasants from slavery, and emancipated means freeing the serfs. Okay, but they were not given enough land to subsist. So they were freed from the slavery of the landlords, but they were not given their lands with which they can live. Okay, so they were not given enough land to subsist. Subsist means maintain. The peasants became power cage of the revolution. So these peasants became the reason for the start of the revolution. Not only this, the laborers and workers who were working in the industries were paid very less salary. Okay, so these laborers and workers also joined the peasants, and they were the reason for the start of this Russian revolution. Is it clear? Role of revolutionaries. The spread of revolutionary ideas among the intelligentsia. Intelligentsia means educated people. Okay. So they wanted to make some changes in the society. They wanted to spread that everything is equal for everyone. Okay. So they wanted to spread this idea to all people in the country. But their idea and their reforms were suppressed by Tsar's government. And at the same time, the socialistically inclined students carried these ideas to the peasants. Okay, soon based on the Marxist philosophy. What is Marxist philosophy? That is communism. So, based on the Marxist philosophy, new ideas began to take shape, and a social and democratic leader Labour Party was formed. Social and Democratic Labour Party was formed. Autocracy of the Tsar. Autocracy. What is meant by autocracy? Autocracy means one person having the complete control of the nation. That is autocracy. Tsar Nicholas II of Romanov dynasty had little experience of government. So he does not have much experience in ruling the country, and he was dominated by his wife. So by the influence of his wife only he was ruling the nation. Okay, determined that Russia should not be left out in the scramble for colonial possessions, Nicholas encouraged Russian expansion in Manchuria. Okay, so Nicholas wants to colonize some places, especially Manchuria in China. So, according to that, he waged a war with Japan. So, we have already studied that this was the Russo Japanese War, which held in 1904. The resulting Russian defeat led strikes and riots. So, in that Russo Japanese War, Russia was defeated by Japan. Okay, on 22nd January 1905, Father Gapan, who was a priest, he organized a procession. In this procession, many men, women, and also children participated in this, and this march was led up to Tsar's Winter Palace in St. Petersburg. They demanded for a separate representative for the National Assembly. They also demanded for the land for the farmers, and they wanted to make some changes in the industries. So these were the three demands which were made by the members who took part in the procession. But police and soldiers, they fired on the procession. Due to this, hundreds were killed and thousands were wounded. Due to this, Nicholas was forced to grant a constitution and establish a parliament, and the name of the parliament is Duma. Okay, this was no longer satisfactory to the left wing parties. Left wing parties are the working class members and the peasants. They were not satisfied with the establishment of the Parliament Duma, and they formed a separate committee and which was called as Soviet Council. It was mainly for the working delegates. Delegates means members of the St. Petersburg, and this Soviet Council was led by Trotsky. Opposition to Tsar and dissolution of Duma. The outbreak of the First World War had temporarily strengthened the monarchy because during this First World War, Russia made alliance with France and Britain, so somehow the empire was strengthened. Okay, whenever Duma was opposed by Tsar's move, whenever Duma, that is the committee members of the parliament, if they oppose to the Tsar's commands, the parliament will be dissolved by Tsar and a fresh election will be held. Okay, without change of government policy, the fourth Duma ended with the revolution of 1917. So totally the Duma was ended by the revolution of 1970. Okay. Popular uprising. There was a shortage of food. That is, there was a bread shortage among the women and children. The women who were workers in textile industries and their husbands were in army, they were unable to survive without food. So they came out of the factory and they started to march towards Petrograd, which is the capital of Russian Empire. They also went to the main streets of the city and they shouted, "Come out, stop work." And they were also demanded for bread for workers. So after hearing these demands and also by seeing this procession, the city's workers, that is the workers who were working in the industries, about 4 lakh workers joined this movement on 24th February. Is it clear? So, on praising this Russian Revolution, our Tamil poet Bharatiyar had cheerfully welcomed the revolution in Russia by giving these poetic lines. And these poetic lines are also a great inspiration for the Russian revolutionaries. Abdication of Tsar. We have already seen what is meant by abdication. Abdication means resignment of Tsar. How Tsar resigned from his position. The government used troops to break the strike. The women's movement was going on and about 4 lakh workers also supported this strike, and government wants to suppress this strike. But mutinies also broke out in barracks. Barracks means the place where soldiers were camped. In those places also soldiers joined this mutiny here and there. Okay, the Tsar ordered a declaration of martial law. Tsar declared a martial law, that is he gave a shooting order, but none was able to implement this law. Okay, then Tsar tried to return to Petrograd, but he was stopped by the railway workers and the generals at the front, and some leaders in Petrograd, frightened by these developments, pleaded with Tsar to abdicate. They pleaded Tsar to resign from his position. On 15th March, Nicholas II was resigned from his position. He resigned himself from the position of emperor. Is it okay, children? We will end the session and we will continue with the remaining part of the Russian Revolution in the next video. Go through the lesson from your textbook. Thank you.